Yo, what is good, Jets Nation? Welcome back to Jets Media. This is Richie, and in this video, we're going to be giving you guys our position breakdown of the cornerbacks. And as you guys can tell from the title, we got a special guest, Ian from Jets Central, will be joining the show to break down the corners. Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, the two brand new acquisitions. Bryce Hall entering year number 2 in the system. Brennan Eccles entering year number 2. Michael Carter, the second, being the starting slot guy. I'm really excited to break down this position group because I really feel like this is one of those positions that is looking good for the long term. So before we hop into the video, I just want to mention, if you guys are new to Jets Media, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. And if you guys want to check me out over on Instagram and Twitter, that is at NYJets_media. And I got a lot of content coming your way for the rest of the offseason, so make sure you guys stay tuned. And with that being said, let's bring in the special guest, Ian from Jets Central. What's good, my man?
Richie, what's up, dude? How are you?
I'm doing great. It's, today as we're recording this video, it's the final day of minicamp. A lot of things been going the Jets' way in terms of that positive stuff. So how you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good. OTA's just wrapped up and minicamp, like you said, is underway. So it's cool to kind of just see everybody in the green and white.
Yeah, it really is. And this is the last day of minicamp, and then all of a sudden there's gonna be like 6 weeks of nothing to talk about, where it's that little hiatus period before training camp.
Yep.
But in this one, we're gonna be focusing on the corners. And so, what's your overall thoughts of this position group before we get into each individual player? When you just look at this graphic right here and you see the depth chart heading into training camp, what's your overall thoughts of this position?
Yeah, dude. So really, once the season ended for me, it was like we got to get better. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like the Jets defense has got to get better. And a part of the reason why the Jets were, 32 or ranked 32nd overall was because of the quarterback play, right? Quarterbacks just absolutely ripped the defense apart. So going into the offseason, right, free agency, added DJ Reed. That's awesome. And of course, Jordan Whitehead at safety is going to help in a big way as well. But, going to the draft and selecting Sauce Gardner in the top 5, you're not going to go select a corner if you're hoping he's going to be like corner 2, if you're just hoping that his career is going to pan out. No, I think a general manager, especially a guy like Joe Douglas, is going to select a guy in Sauce Gardner if he feels, and the coaching staff as well, feels 100% confident in his abilities to really turn into a top 5 guy, like a Marlon Humphrey, like a Jalen Ramsey. Again, you don't take a corner that high in the draft if you're like, he's okay. So, after the additions of DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner, I am totally pumped up. Corner is actually one of my favorite positions, so I'm really excited.
Yeah, and I knew the cornerback was one of your favorite positions, and I got a lot of special guests coming on to this series of, we're breaking down each individual position. And when I thought to reach out to you, I'm like, okay, which position do I want to talk about with Jet Central? And I'm like, definitely the corners. So that's why I wanted to dedicate the position to talk about with you. So you mentioned the Jets going out there in the draft and getting Sauce Gardner. They also go into free agency and get DJ Reed. Last year, we had Bryce Hall and Brennan Eccles be the starters. We had a year 2 guy in Bryce Hall, and we had a rookie in Brennan Eccles. And not to mention, we have Michael Carter the second, who was also a rookie last year, playing in the slot. So what was your thoughts of the young guys last year and their play? Because you did say they were 32nd in defense last year. We struggled, but the Jets definitely went all in developing these players. And now Bryce Hall and Brennan Eccles, it looks like they're going to be backups.
Yeah, for sure. So, to the first point, it wasn't all on the corners. I think based off the system, a lot of that has to do with pass rush. If you're, 4-3 DNs aren't getting in the backfield and your linebackers aren't really blitzing that much, like, of course, you can't expect a corner to go cover, for 6-7 seconds, especially a young corner at that as well. But with that said, I think when we look at the total production, it wasn't really there. But at times Bryce Hall would flash. Like he had a solid stretch of games where he was performing like one of the better corners in football. Brandon Eccles, late younger guy, high upside, big body. I like the upside there, but I didn't really think he was supposed to be or like if I was on the coaching staff, I wouldn't feel like 100% comfortable saying, okay, Eccles, you're, the starting outside guy. It's not a knock against him. It's just, at the end of the day, he was a late round pick. And I do think that he needed to develop a little bit more. Michael Carter in the slot, though, that was another late round pick here, but that was super encouraging. And I know we're going to talk about like projected lineups in a second here, like starting lineups. But I think Michael Carter really did a good job of just solidifying that slot, that nickel cornerback spot on the inside for, the upcoming 2022 season.
Yeah, the youth at this position group really stands out to me. And we go out there and get a guy in DJ Reed, right? He's a guy that's not like an established old veteran. He's kind of young and he's kind of in the prime of his career, and he got a lot of potential, I feel like, in the system. So, you want to give your thoughts and your expectations for DJ Reed in this first season with the New York Jets? I think he's going to be playing on the right side of the defense. He was really comfortable last year with the Seattle Seahawks on that side of the field. So, what are you expecting from DJ Reed in this first year with the Jets?
Yeah, so I'm totally pumped up. Funny enough, I actually thought that he was going to re-sign with Seattle, and I thought the guy that Seattle was maybe going to let walk was Quandre Diggs, because obviously they spent so much money at the safety position already with Jamal Adams. I felt, you know what, like they lost Griffin the year prior. I could see them re-signing DJ Reed. They know exactly how to use him. He's an ascending young player. They go out, they extend Quandre Diggs to a multi-year deal, invest a ton of money in the safety position. And I'm thinking like, okay, like they're probably going to get around to signing Reed, and they just don't. He signs with the New York Jets, and long story short, I'm totally pumped up. His skill set, him being a familiar face, not only just in the style of system, but with Robert Saleh himself. Seattle, Pete Carroll, we do have to credit that coaching staff. They really did a good job of just how should I say it? I guess cracking the code with DJ Reed. They figured out how to use him, right? So now he's coming to the Jets. I don't want to say as a finished product, but much, much more polished than he was coming out of Kansas State all those years ago. So I think DJ Reed will be, and I know the Jets don't really have the old school, like when we think back to like Revis, where it's like that traditional number one following corner that he could just lock down whoever he wants. He's probably going to be playing, strictly on one side of the field, and that's okay. But I definitely feel like DJ Reed is going to be a massive upgrade over what we currently have. And another layer that we could kind of throw on top of it, his contract is extremely team friendly, like a 3-year deal, I believe $33 million. Like, I mean, if we dive into the numbers, he performed like he was one of the better corners in football. And we're seeing what the cornerbacks are getting paid. $100 million. Denzel Ward just got paid. Jalen Ramsey, Marlon Humphrey. I'm not saying DJ Reed is like all of a sudden a top 3, top 4 guy, or he deserves to be paid, $100 million. But I mean, we're getting a guy who could come and produce, know the system, continues to get better. He's still really, really young. He's a good tackler for, roughly 11 million, give or take, on average. So I think it was a tremendous deal.
Speaking of top 3 or top 5 guys at this position, we drafted the best cornerback in the NFL draft, in my opinion, in Sauce Gardner. Now, us as Jets fans, we cannot expect Sauce to go out there in year number 1 as a rookie and just become this top corner. But there is going to be a lot of expectations if you're the 4th overall pick. If you're drafted that high, and you said it earlier, the expectations are high. You're supposed to be that lockdown number 1 corner for this franchise for the foreseeable future. So what's your expectations for Sauce Gardner, not for the long term, but more his rookie season? Like, what type of season should Jets fans really expect from the young rookie?
Yeah, so I think right off the bat, like, again, we talked about it before. If you take a guy in the top 5, you're not expecting him to be like just okay or average. So I'm expecting an upgrade for sure over what we currently had had last season over guys like Bryce Hall and Eccles. I'm expecting a lot of confidence, a lot of attitude from that position. I want to see the aggressiveness brought over from Cincinnati. Just a guy who's not afraid of wide receivers. He's not afraid of going one-on-one in the red zone, trying to defend a fade. He's not afraid of coming up and making a hit. I want to see Sauce Gardner bring that attitude over to this Jets defense, something that I felt like this team really lacked last season, just letting teams just run the ball all over us, pass the ball all over the team. And it was just, it was hard to watch at points. So I think he's going to be up and down. I don't think he's going to be, like elite or considered a top 5, top 10 corner. And if we look at, some of these number 1 corners in the league today, outside of, I want to say like outside of Jalen Ramsey, Trey White, Marlon Humphrey, these guys aren't coming in as elite shutdown guys year 1. There is a little bit of a transition, a little bit of a learning curve in that first season, and then you really start to see him blossom year 2, year 3.
Yeah, that's my expectations with Sauce Gardner as well. And I feel like Jets fans, the last time we were irrelevant was obviously that 2009, 2010 era with Darrelle Revis. And of course, I had the rock the Revis jersey when we're talking about the corners. So we're waiting for that guy that we develop into our stud lockdown corner. And I think every Jets fan should feel excited about what Sauce Gardner is not only going to bring as a rookie, but for the future. Now, if I had to ask you this question, Ian, who's the first person that comes to your mind that's the most underrated player and in this position group specifically that you feel like could have a really big season this year?
Yeah, so I mean, we just talked about him before, DJ Reed, for the same reasons, coming off a great season, young, knows the system, knows the coaching staff. I'm totally pumped up because, if you ask, like outside of Jet Nation here, and Seahawks fans, like who are some of the best corners in football, DJ Reed chances are his name's not going to pop up. But I think after this season is over, given all the things that are going his way, DJ Reed might be considered a top 10, top 15 corner. Again, because Pete Carroll, that Seahawks team, really did a good job of utilizing him and playing him to his strengths, something that the San Francisco 49ers didn't really do early on. So I'm excited about DJ Reed. And I think overall, like national mainstream media, he is kind of being overlooked a little bit.
I agree. And the numbers don't lie. You go look at the statistics of the cornerback position. DJ Reed was at the top in pretty much every single category when it comes to the cornerback position. My underrated player that I feel like is one of the most underrated players in terms of the youth for the entire defense, that's Michael Carter II. I genuinely believe that he has a chance to be one of the top slot corners in the NFL. Now, maybe not top five, maybe not the best, but what he showed me last year as a fifth-round rookie was a lot. He sacked Tom Brady. I'll never forget week 1 against the Carolina Panthers. It was like the first drive of the game. I was in Carolina for that game, and it was a slot fade route. It was 3rd and short. Michael Carter II was man-to-man on Marshall, I believe, and Darnold threw up a fade route, like a slot fade, and Carter was all over and got the pass deflection. I'm like, wow, that's a rookie right there, making a big-time statement in his first ever game of his life, and it really stood out to me. And for the rest of the season, he really looked like a guy that can develop and a guy that's going to be the long-term slot option for the New York Jets. So I think Jets fans have a lot of expectations for Michael Carter II. I genuinely really feel like he could be one of those guys that the national media looks at of, wow, Michael Carter II is a baller, and he could be one of the top slot corners in the NFL in a couple of years. I really feel like he has all the tools. So when it comes to the X factor, if there's that one guy on this position group that needs to play his best football in order for this entire defense and this entire position group to really thrive, who would that be?
Yeah, so I'm going to say Michael Carter. I mean, he was man, like you said it best, like week 1 in Carolina, already making a statement. And I think the thing that gets overlooked is the fact that he was a late round pick. How many other players, how many teams out there can say, oh yeah, we had, late round guys stepping up, starting, and actually making plays, not just every single down getting ripped apart. Just a complete liability out there. Michael Carter was reliable. He was durable. The Jets counted on him in the slot multiple times throughout the course of that season. Or of last season, rather. And, if Sauce Gardner lives up to the potential, that's great. If DJ Reed is performing like a number 1 corner, that's awesome. But if Michael Carter is, if the production isn't there in the slot, then at the end of the day, given, and this is kind of assuming that the run game is going to get, or defending against the run game is a little bit better, but quarterbacks will pick us apart. Especially the guys that can run around a little bit, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. I know we played Rodgers and Wilson back-to-back, obviously Josh Allen twice. The slot wide receivers are going to have, if they're constantly getting open, and we factor in the quarterbacks can move around, extend plays, which would then take or puts a lot of pressure on the outside guys. It opens up the door for a lot of problems. So I think if Michael Carter can just hold down the slot, especially in the first, 5-10 yards, crossing patterns, slants, screens, and stuff like that, can he tackle an open field? I think we'll be really, or we'll be in a much better place.
Yeah, he's also a very physical corner, I've noticed. He can match up well against tight ends, something he wasn't perfect in as a rookie, but that's something you want to see him develop in. And I'm pretty sure Michael Carter II is the only rookie from last year that's penciled in as a starter on defense. Because last year we had Eccles as a starter, and as a rookie. But Michael Carter II is looked at as the guy from the 2021 draft class that might be the starter heading into year number 2, unless somehow Jason Pinnock, who's been, transitioned to safety, might win the job over Lamarcus Joyner or Whitehead. I don't think that's going to happen, but Pinnock has definitely been showing up big time. So quickly, I know that Pinnock is a safety, but he was drafted as a corner. So you want to give your brief thoughts of Jason Pinnock, because he was drafted as a corner, did not play a lot of football for the Jets early in the season. They transitioned him to safety at the back end of the season and showed some flashes. And now he's in camp right now, making a lot of plays at the safety position.
Yeah, well, I think the one thing that's really cool about, Jason here is the fact that he made the safety switch so late into the season. It's not like he had OTA. It's not like he was drafted as a safety, went through the, walkthroughs, OTAs, training camp, preseason, all the regular season practices as a true safety. Like, he was doing all the cornerback work. Not to mention he was a late round rookie as well. So it's not like he was coming in with the hype as a Sauce Gardner, as a Derek Stingley, or anything like that. There's a lot on his plate. As a late round guy, you got to pick up the system. You're going up against wide receivers that you've never gone up against before. The talent around you, the chemistry with your, with your guys, terminology of the system, and to make a positional change that late into the season and look like solid, I think it's really, really impressive. And I think I think the Jets coaching staff has the right idea of just saying, you know what? We're actually, stacked at the cornerback position now. Let's just keep you at safety, right? Let's just see what you can do there, because at the end of the day, he does have the speed, size, athleticism, really good open field tackler. I like that about him a lot. I feel like probably one of his best traits is defending against the run. So I'm excited about Pinnock at safety.
Me too. And when it comes to this specific player that was a starter last year, right now he is penciled in at getting first team reps in OTAs over Sauce Gardner. That's Bryce Hall. Robert Saleh said that he's not going to hand Sauce Gardner the starting opportunity. He's going to give Bryce Hall an opportunity to win that job. But I think every Jets fan knows that Sauce Gardner will be the starter by week number 1. It's just good coaching by lighting a fire under your rookie, by making sure he knows that everything's not handed to you. You have to earn it. But when it comes to Bryce Hall, I personally feel like he's a starter, like in this league, talent-wise. I do think that Sauce and DJ Reed are better than him, and those guys will start. But what's your thoughts of Bryce Hall's role on this team this year? Are they going to try to get him on the field in certain packages, even if everyone's healthy? Or is he just going to strictly be a backup and he's not going to see the field unless one of the two guys goes down with an injury?
Yeah, so, man, it sucks to say it because I like Bryce Hall, and I'm with you, dude. Like, I see Bryce Hall as a starter in the league. Again, not necessarily saying he's like a top 15, top 20 corner, but a guy that has potential, a guy that you could, if you put him in the right system and watch him grow, and you not necessarily take the pressure off him, but if you give him an opportunity to go have success for an extended period of time, I do think he could go out there and make plays. If we look at him back in Virginia, he was a great corner, suffered the injury. He was supposed to be like a second, third round pick, and then he falls to round 5. It wasn't because of his play. It wasn't because he was bombing interviews or failing drug tests or anything like that. It was just because of the injury. We've seen the flashes. We've seen the athleticism. We've seen the size. I like Bryce Hall a lot. And it kind of, who he kind of reminds me of, obviously, like the defensive version, but Chris Herndon. Chris Herndon was a guy who was like athletic, productive college career, big upside, would flash at times. Like, you could see the potential. And then the Jets, of course, loaded up at the position and moved him away for, in my opinion, a pretty solid deal to the Minnesota Vikings. Not so much Herndon with the Vikings, but during his time with the Jets. So I'm thinking maybe Bryce Hall. I don't think he's going to be traded or anything like that, at least not this season. Maybe in the offseason if Sauce and DJ Reed look great and there's just not enough room to go around for Bryce Hall to make an impact, especially with Michael Carter holding down the slot. So, Bryce Hall, as much as I love him, I just don't know if the volume is going to be there for him to actually, get in there and make an impact.
Yeah, and I've seen some people ask me or always say on Twitter that the Jets should trade Bryce Hall. And I couldn't disagree more, because there's something called depth, right? Unfortunately, the Jets fans, we are all accustomed to injuries. So what's wrong with having a guy as a backup in case of injuries? And I feel like the depth at this position is so impressive because, like we mentioned earlier, Bryce Hall and Brendan Eccles has a full season under their belt in this system. So that gives me so much confidence if, unfortunately, one of the two guys in Sauce or DJ gets nicked up for a game, where it's not like we're throwing out a guy in Bryce Hall or a guy in Brendan Eccles that's like, we're throwing him into the fire. We don't know what we got. They have a full season under their belt in this system where I got a lot of confidence in them in case their name is called due to some injuries. So what's your overall thoughts of the depth of this cornerback room, just in case there are some injuries?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I love it like flat out. Like the Jets did some awesome stuff at both tight ends, running back, wide receiver, adding Garrett Wilson, bringing back Braxton Berrios. But corner, man, like corner's one of those positions that, kind of circling back to the start of this video, it needed to get better, right? It was such a horrible defense last year, a horrible product out on the field. We couldn't cut corners. I think the Jets really needed to go out and find some talented guys that we could rely on for not only just the short term, but for the long term. And Gardner and Reed check both of those boxes. If something were to happen, we have like a freak Mekhi Becton situation, a Carl Lawson situation with a guy like Sauce or Reed, somebody like that. I feel good enough with the guys behind him. Eccles needs to step in for 2 games, 3 games. That's cool. Bryce Hall can, step in for a month, 2 months, God forbid, some big injury happens. It's not the end of the world. I feel really confident about the positional group, going into 2022.
Yeah, I think that the corners are one of the most youthful, talented positions on this entire roster, just in terms of depth and the amount of guys that we have at the top and on the bottom. So what's your long-term outlook of this position? We have guys like Sauce Gardner, who's a rookie, so we got a lot of control with him. We just signed DJ Reed to a 3-year deal. We have Michael Carter II for another 3 years. So I feel like this is one of those positions that you look at on paper, and it's not like we have a couple guys on 1-year deals, flyer deals. We're like, all right, what's this position looking like next year? We have no idea. I feel like this is a really stable position group for the long term. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%. But I will say, I do think a lot of this is going to have, or a lot of the success is going to come if the edge rushers are really getting after the quarterback. If Johnson is making an impact, Carl Lawson looks good, healthy, and he's making an impact, just getting in the backfield. I think all that does is really just speed up the play. Quarterbacks don't have, as much time to sit back there, find the open guy, extend plays with their legs. If we could keep quarterbacks in the pocket and bring them down, I think it's just going to elevate the play of the corners.
Absolutely. With this system, I feel like the defensive line, the edge rushers, is really going to be pivotal for the whole success of this entire defense. So they're pretty much the X factor of the entire defense. So when it comes to the last question I have for you, if there's any concerns with this position group, what would that be?
I would just say new faces. DJ Reed has not played a snap with the green and white. Neither is Sauce Gardner. The two reliable guys, or the two veteran guys that know the system inside and out and that have actually played in it. Bryce Hall, Michael Carter, Brandon Eccles. All those guys are 1 or 2 year players obviously rookies going into year 2. And then in the case of Bryce Hall going into year 3, it's not like we have that Richard Sherman presence. It's not like we have, a guy that's been doing this for, 6-7 years. So I would maybe just say youth, but to be honest with you, it's not like a super big concern of mine. It's not like I'm, losing sleep over it.
Yeah, and we saw the Jets go fully invested in the development of these players last year by sacrificing not playing veterans at the cornerback position, not signing a 1-year guy, instead giving the rookie Brendan Eccles an opportunity to develop. So he is a guy that if his name is called this year, he'll go out there. So I feel like the long-term outlook of the position looks good. And the biggest concern, I agree with you. I feel like it's all new faces. It's all what ifs. It's all potential. We don't know what Sauce will be as a rookie. We don't know if DJ is going to transition well, but there's no denying when you look at this position group on paper, it looks fun, it looks young, and it looks exciting. So, Ian, I really do appreciate you joining the show to break down the cornerback position. Anything you'd like to say before we finish off the video, my man?
Just thanks, dude. I always look forward to, doing these collabs and stuff like that. And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I feel like Jets fans should feel very excited about this young and exciting cornerback room. I feel like it's going to be one of the most improved positions on the entire roster next year, and I'm super excited for them to take flight. So that does it for this video, guys. Comment down below a Jet emoji if you stayed all the way to the end of this long cornerback breakdown by Jets Central and Jets Media. I appreciate all the support, guys, and we'll catch you guys in the next video. Let's go Jets. Peace out, everybody.